or Fredericton or Moncton, one of the places?
St. John.
St. John, okay. Nicholas, if you mind coming up.
Hey, give our organizer a big round of applause. He's doing a great job. Look, I gotta be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy to come up here in the middle of the street when it's cold out and address a group of people. And it's not easy to come out here and know, like, you know, when I pulled up and I was walking across the street and, you know, there was a lady with her mask on. You know, the judging eyes, right? You know, it's just judging eyes, right? It's not easy to come out here and know that some of these folks out here that are driving by, they think you're crazy or they think you're endangering other people. They don't realize that we're out here not just fighting for ourselves and our families, but for them as well. So it's not easy to do what you do, but I just want to say thank you so much for doing what you do. Keep doing what you do and keep getting better at it. Keep bringing out speakers, keep making these events more awesome with great music and great spirit and inclusive attitude, and make sure that you have a lot of fun so that you can make this a joyful rebellion and we can win our country back. So a big round of applause. Give yourselves a big round of applause. All right, Grand Falls, if you love your freedom, make some noise! It's like, you know, you kind of like your freedom, right? I said, if you love it from the deepest depths of your being, make some noise! Now, I'm gonna sound a bit contradictory to my partner who was up here speaking, but I promise you that we're actually on the same page. It's really interesting how he presented it, because he says we're not at war, and then he told you it's a spiritual war, and I agree. So I'm gonna start off by saying the opposite. We are at war, but it is not a war of weapons. But we are at war. They attack us both loud and silent at the same time. It's like an interesting paradox, you know? Anybody ever watch the show The Twilight Zone? Yeah. This is like the Twilight Zone sometimes when I walk around with the zombie-like. People don't even want to look at each other in the eyes. Everybody's afraid of each other. It is done with such strategic accuracy. I was
gonna say, you're recording yourself up.
That those captivated and hypnotized by the mainstream media and their continuous fear propaganda, they cannot see the magician's trick. The whole tactic is distract and destroy. Distract through fear and destroy by changing our laws, and destroy our society by getting the masses to comply with their own slavery. I share with you though today, each day hope fills my heart, because I see more and more Canadians standing up, more and more Canadians waking up, and it's happening at all levels. And while it's happening at the political level, which is great to see, it's happening at the grassroots level. And this has to be a grassroots movement, because our systems right now have been corrupted. And so while we try to take them over, and while we win back our country politically, it's up to us on the ground, boots on the ground, here at these rallies, every single day, inside the grocery stores, inside of the malls, everywhere that you frequent. You have to slowly take your power back. You have to slowly encourage yourself to show more determination and take stronger action. Make some noise if you're committed to taking stronger action as we move. Thank you so much for every single one of you for organizing today, for those of you who drove out from different cities, for those of you who are coming every single week. I so appreciate it. The rest of Canada appreciates it, and I really want you to know that and understand that. Thank you for those who can't make it, but I know you guys are liking, commenting, you're sharing on social media. That's part of the battlefield now. Social media is part of the battlefield. We all know it. And with Bill C-10, they're trying to take that battlefield away from us. Trudeau and his corrupt government, they want to take more power to control. I have a podcast every single Friday. I'm broadcasting and we're bringing guests. We're speaking truth. We're speaking against mainstream media. We're speaking against the narrative, and we're letting people know what's going on. This is going to take that battlefield away. So no matter what, I promise you we're not going to stop. And they can deplatform all they want. We'll come back stronger and harder. We got to get super committed to this cause. So are you with me?
Yeah!
I want you to know that all actions count. That's the point that I'm trying to tell you right now. Everything counts. No action is too small. No little act of courage. No comment, no share, no like, no newspaper handed out. It's all counts, and we need to be active 24/7, 365 until we win our country back. Because look at the machine that we're against. They're 24/7, 365. So we need to be the same, and that means getting organized. Now you may ask yourself, if you say we're at war, but I don't see weapons, where is this war taking place? This is taking place in your mind. This is a war of your mind. We are living right now psychological warfare. The war is a war of the mind. It is a war of ideology. It is a war of conditioning, behavior modification, and compliance. It is a war of freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of movement, and freedom of medical autonomy. It's freedom to live life the way that you choose to live life. I'm going to speak directly. Both the liberals and the conservatives in this country are sold out to the same agenda. The flu has given them an opportunity to move their communist, globalist agenda forward. And either they are so deep that they cannot get out, or they are so blinded and institutionalized by their brainwash and hunger for power. They are stripping our rights and freedoms and taking away our power. Look at the new bill that they're trying to pass that directly disarms this population. I'm talking about the devastating Bill C-21. A few weekends ago, we were in Harcourt, myself and my wife. We were in Harcourt, New Brunswick, and we played our first ever airsoft gun tournament. And we spoke against Bill C-21. How many of you are familiar with Bill C-21 and what's happening with gun laws by a show of hands? All right, most of you. For those that you don't understand, this is another strategic tactic to disempower us. Gun owners in Canada have shown that they are responsible. Most of the crime that happens through guns are done by illegal weapons and not by registered gun owners. This is an attempt to disarm the gun population and the natural militia in which we have here in Canada. I'll give you a little stat just to put this into perspective. Across the country, there are 1.2 million sport shooters registered in this country. That is double the amount of hockey players registered in this country. This is a strong, natural, free militia which we have here in Canada, and we must protect our gun owners to allow them to protect us. And you'll notice that it's rural Canada that's being attacked. I've lived in Toronto. I've traveled this country coast to coast. I've now made my home over the last decade here in New Brunswick. And I will personally tell you that many people in the big cities are disconnected with what's going on in the smaller cities and in rural Canada. And I admit that as someone who's lived, in the big city in my own world. But when I came out here here and I realized that Canada's culture is strong. Canada's culture is free. There's amazing, inclusive, nice people, and they don't need a government telling them what to do, and they definitely don't need their way of life being disrupted by tyranny. Here in our own home, in New Brunswick, Mr. Carty wants the power to make decisions about what's going on in your children's body. Why does the education minister want this kind of power? This is what the general masses have to ask. Why is the education minister from day one been continuously pushing mandatory vaccinations on children? It's clear to see he's had an agenda and has been purposely placed there from day one.
It's disgusting!
Mr. Higgs, he's put no opposition or questions about the validity of the information that Health Canada is spewing to us. They continuously use the PCR test as a diagnostic tool when Dr. Mullis, the founder of the PCR test, has clearly stated this is not a diagnostic tool. Which is either stupidity, hunger for power, or conniving. Mr. Higgs goes along with a strong liberal agenda, and even though the people of New Brunswick voted for a majority conservative government, we are no longer being represented. We are now being told this is what you'll be doing. That is not democracy, and that is not what a free country is all about. Yeah. True fact. True fact.
Yes.
Woo! Look how many people are supporting you. Look how many people know that what we're doing here is right. It is what we all need to be doing, and I'm asking all the Canadians watching at home, everybody on social media, come out and join the movement. We need boots on the ground. You can't just complain to your family, you know, on WhatsApp chats or on social media. You have to come put boots on the ground. We have to be in the streets. We have to gather, and we have to show that we are the majority.
Yes!
Our federal government has become strong-armed by the pharmaceutical mafia. The pharmaceutical cartel now runs the show. These are the same people that run the banking systems and have taken hold of all of our countries and countries all of the world infrastructure. That's why we're in the position where we're so dependent on them. We need to take that infrastructure back by any means possible.
Yes!
They ignore and suppress and even sometimes punish scientists, doctors, and activists who go against their narrative instead of giving people all sides of the story. Trudeau's federal government is dictating what goes on in this country instead of serving the people. He was elected to serve. He mistook our democracy for his path to power. But your power, Mr. Trudeau, is not backed by the will and the spirit of the free-thinking Canadian people. Canada is now making world news. We're world famous. But not because of our reputation for peacekeeping, not for our reputation of humanitarian efforts and strong military support, not because of the bravery of men and women who fought abroad and kept tyranny far from these borders. We're not famous for those things right now. No, we're famous because we've mandated quarantine hotels. Canada around the world is now famous for being a human rights violator.
Woo!
The job of the leaders of this nation are to protect the people, the land, and the resource of that nation, including their way of life. 2, to create opportunities for business and trade, both internally and externally, for prosperity for the people today and future Canadians. And 3, to promote individual evolution so that people of the nation grow physically, mentally, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually strong in whatever way they choose. That they may worship in the way that they choose while respecting others to worship in the way they choose. We will not allow Sharia law and extremist behavior to take over this nation.
It ain't gonna happen.
Our current government fails to do all three of these things. A strong nation is made of strong individuals. And so every single one of you counts. Every single Canadian counts. This is a fight none of us can ignore, even though we didn't ask for it. Last year, just over a year ago, we didn't ask for it. We got up, we went to work, we ran our businesses, we took care of our families, we planned events. We did what Canadians do. We had a good time, right? We had a good time. We worked hard and we had a good time. And then we were thrusted in to a war, a psychological war that many of us didn't ask for or see coming. And I'm sorry to be the one to tell you to that if you didn't realize that. And now it's time that you join this war. And you do it by becoming innerly, that's not a word, innerly, I'm making it up. We're becoming strong inwards. We're becoming strong within ourselves. We're claiming our personal freedom. And that means we have to disconnect from the mainstream media and the constant propaganda agenda that continues to bring doubt into our mind, that continues to control us. To disarm the people of our mental health, our worship, our community, our family, to be told that we have to wear masks, to be told we have to keep distance. It's not natural. It's not the way nature made it. It is not the way God intended. And whether you're a believer in God or not, it's just not the way you're made biologically, scientifically. This is a direct attack on our well-being to weaken us so that we become compliant. And this is what we must all wake up to and face within ourselves, our own weaknesses, our own compliance. The mind, my friends, is like fertile soil. What you feed your mind grows in your mind. Plant the seeds of fear and you will grow in fear. Your actions will be one of fearlessness, and eventually fear will become the dominant mood of the people. That's what's happened to us now. It's just that fear has become the dominant mood. When fear becomes the dominant mood of the people, when fear takes hold, that fear turns us against each other. Identity politics is killing our nation. I'll tell you.
Almost lost my phone.
When I was in my early 20s, I traveled this country coast to coast in the music business, and I just absolutely loved it. I've met Canadians all across this nation. I've partied with Canadians all across this nation, okay? And I'm telling you something that as a non-white man, I've never encountered racism. I've been accepted everywhere I've gone. I've been accepted everywhere I go. And sure, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, and I'm not saying it's not a problem, but what I'm saying is that I've met thousands of Canadians coast to coast and have been accepted everywhere I go. So what are they talking about? They're trying to tell us we're something we're not. Canada is filled with good people. People that want to work hard, take care of their families, they want to earn, they want to, they want to hunt, they want to fish, they want to do what Canadians do. And they're trying to change all of that so that we become workers in their factories, and ultimately they look at us as a paycheck for the elite. And we can defeat them by organizing ourselves and by claiming our own freedom. Identity politics has to stop. It absolutely has to stop. You guys having a good time today or what?
Yeah!
every day. So what's the solution? Let's talk solutions, because it's good to get riled up, it's good to get fired up, and in this way, you can use your anger, you can use your frustration in a positive way. But you gotta be able to direct all of your energy and your focus with some solutions. So here's some solutions I want you to think about that every single Canadian has power over. Turn your fear into fuel for action. Don't become fearless, become courageous. My friends, the sweetest emotion in this world is that of devotion. To give yourself to something bigger than yourself is what is required right now. They want you to be compliant and to lose your individuality, to become a drone within their agenda. They want to keep people apart and keep them plugged into the constant messaging and reminder that that there is a danger. That's what the masks are. They're symbols to remind you there's danger around. You have to be scared. They are conditioning you for compliancy the same way a dog trainer trains a dog. But we are not cats and dogs. We are free souls. To do this, they kill the very things that make you feel alive. Family values have slowly been destroyed in our country. God and spiritual teachings are removed from all aspects of society, making government the new authority. Look at how communism takes over other countries, and you'll notice there's some patterns. Disarm the people, pin them against themselves so they're distracted fighting themselves, identity politics, right? Make them fearful, COVID. Take away their freedom, Bill C-10. Take over the mainstream media, constantly fill them with propaganda, and destroy worship. Destroy gathering. Because whether you gather in the bar or the church, when people come together, people feel good. And when people feel good, they can think clearly. And because they can think clearly, they realize that they're healthy and they're strong. And none of this makes any sense. Yeah. When you remove God, when you remove gatherings, when you remove our ability to come together, you remove meaning from people's lives. When you remove meaning from your life, without meaning, society falls into a selfish, fearful, self-absorbed, consumeristic society and becomes weak. Bad food, sedentary lifestyles, handouts instead of empowerment, consuming instead of creating, taking instead of giving. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for life. Let's learn to fish. Yeah. Let's then teach our kids and our neighbors and our communities to fish. And that means everyone eats well. And that means we don't need big government systems to rely on. We don't need such a big government and so much bureaucracy. We can have a small government to take care of our freedom, to make sure we're protected, and to make sure individuals can prosper. That's all the government is there for. They've stepped way beyond their boundary and their jurisdiction of power. We have a pandemic, my friends, but it is not COVID. Mental health, addiction, the breakdown of family and community values have disconnected us. We're now easily divided in so many ways. Color, sex, religion, economic status, gender, confusion, and we rise with a rise of a new division, pharmaceutical apartheid. That is what they want to push us into. This is apartheid. We must take a strong no to vaccine passports. It must be a no. It cannot be negotiable. Don't get it. Don't do it. Don't participate in the passports. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If you want to get a vaccine and you've done your research and you want to go along with it, That's your choice. It's a free society. But personally, I draw the lines at vaccine passports because that's pharmaceutical apartheid. That's now a class division. That's now pinning us up directly against each other, telling you that your neighbor is going to kill you. They want to mask your children because your children are now a threat to society. This is far more dangerous than any flu. Because they kill community. Because Justin Trudeau has gone on to say, we are a post-national state. He's taunting this around the world. He's telling everyone around the world, Canada's not a real thing. We're just a bunch of mishmash of people coming together. And I'm telling you, as an immigrant that came at 3 years old, whose family came here and found a better life, that is not true. You must be Canadian first. You must, if you come here, you must become a patriot of Canada. We are not a post-national state. We are strong Canadians, and not everybody around the world believes what we believe, and we believe in freedom and democracy, and that's the most important thing that we need to stand for. This whole thing about, come to Canada, but don't worry, you don't have to learn the language. You don't have to know our ways. You can just do your own thing. No, that is political maneuvering. They are moving populations around to spread out and destroy identities so that we all buy into this global identity. But this is dangerous. This is where ideologies get wiped out, and where we've seen in the past, history has told us, this is exactly where we've seen genocide happen. That's why we have this. It's so important that we don't go along with vaccine passports. You have your choice, you have your free will, do what you think is right for your family, but don't let them divide us like this. Listen, guys, you can tell I get a little passionate, eh? It just gets to me so much. It drives me insane. I never dreamed of like getting involved like this. I've always been interested in politics, but I'll tell you, it was just the beginning of this year. I was so upset at our politicians here in New Brunswick, especially because not one of them was speaking out against what was going on. Not one of them was actually questioning anything. And so that's why I started speaking out and getting involved, because I got so upset. And this is why I'm telling you, if you're upset, if you're angry, don't just sit and yell at the news or yell at your neighbor. Come out and join and get organized. We need everybody to bring your talents. Right? We need everybody to bring your gifts, to bring your talents, to bring you to the table. It's not about any one of us. It's going to take every single one of us to participate and contribute. So talk to your organizers.